Okay, last example natin for deferred annuity. If 10,000 pesos is deposited each year for 9 years, how much annuity can a person get annually from the bank every year for 8 years, starting 1 year after the 9th deposit is made? Cost of money or the interest rate is 14%. So let's try to draw the cash flow diagram. So we have the beginning of the deposit. So for 9 years, meron siyang annual deposit na 10,000 pesos for 9 years. Now, nag-deposit siya palagi sa bangko at an interest rate of 14%. So kumikita siya ng 14%. So after 9 years, meron siyang marireceive na amount of money for 8 years. Yan. Okay. So magkano ang marireceive niya yearly for 8 years after the end of 9 years. So magkano ito yearly payment niya or marireceive niya. Okay? So ito, for the first 9 years, nag-deposit siya ng 10,000. And for the next 8 years, may marireceive siya yearly na amount from the bank because of his investment in the previous years. So magkano ngayon yung value na marireceive niya or amount na marireceive niya every year for 8 years after the end of his last deposit. Okay, so we can again for this particular case we can use the concept of economic equivalence or yung pwede rin yung dinerive natin na formula for deferred annuity. Maybe we can use both solutions for this particular problem. So for economic equivalence, we can choose a focal point. So kaya yung focal point natin, a more convenient or most convenient na focal point. So pag namili ka ng focal point, syempre you choose a focal point where the equation is or the terms in the equation would be lesser, para mas madaling i-solve yung problem or yung unknown. Kapag mali yung napili mong pag medyo komplikado yung napili mong focal point, that would somehow lengthen, or that would increase the number of terms in the equation, So pag pumili ka, you try to look into the problem, analyze, and choose the most convenient focal point. In this case, maybe we can choose the mint year, yun yung nung natapos yung last deposit niya. So let's say ito yung focal point nga natin. Okay, so that means we're going to sum up or we're going to calculate the values of these periodic payments apunta doon, yung value niya on the nth year and the value of this annual receivables, sa nth year, which is actually the starting point of the second or the receiving part of this cash flow diagram. Ayan. Ito yung deposit, dito ka binabayaran na part na. Okay, so let's try to do that. So ito, so how do we solve for the value of this on the nth year? Okay, that would be okay. So itong equation na to or this term or this formula would sum up yung values natin, each the payments or deposits papunta dun sa nth year. And that should be equal to yung values naman nito, annuity natin on the nth year. So pa left, ito pa right. That's why n is positive. Ito naman pa left siya. Okay, the values of n will be different sa may magkabilang size ng equation. So in this case, n is ito 9 years yan. Ito naman sa kabilang side, sa right side, n would be 8 years. Hindi sila magkaparehas ng value. Please take note of that. Okay, take note. For the left side of the equation, the value of n would be different since we are considering a different periodic payment or deposit. Ito different periodic payment then, so n would be of different value. Okay, so for the first for the left side, n is 9. Ito naman sa my right side, n is 8. So this is 10,000. I is 14%. So take note, this is 9. What should be equal to yung sinusolve natin na value ng annual payments ng bank dun sa depositor before. So n is 8. Okay. So A is equal to, using the nth year as our focal point, 34,675.185. So ito yung marireceive ng depositor from the bank after his last deposit dun sa bangko. Okay. For 8 years ito marireceive na. Okay, next, maybe we can choose another focal point. Maybe we can choose yung beginning ng annuity as our focal point. That means we're going to solve for the value of these periodic payments papunta dun sa may present, and these periodic payments of the bank to the depositor papunta dun. Okay, so the equation would be A
gusto mo talaga yung reactions ng mga style kasi di-determinate nga na ito yung kampo yung pat na support kung nagtutuwat support iyak mo lang ito dito yung shape gusto mo ito
negative m. Okay, so it would be our equation now. So n at the left side of the equation, and here is, so from the nth year papunta doon, that means 9 years ito. And on the right side of the equation would be, so since we're summing up or converting the values of this series of payments papunta dun sa 9 nth year, and then from the nth year to 0. Okay, so n would be 8 and m would be, so from the nth year to 0, that would be negative 9 or 9. Okay, so let's try to substitute all values in the equation. So we have 10,000, hopefully magkasya, times 1 plus 0.14 so we are solving for A, no? And here is 8 minus 1 negative 9. Yung m natin is 9, so this is negative m, so that is negative 9. Okay, then solve for A. We have one unknown in the equation, so what is the value of A? We should get the same value of A from the previous solution, no? Since it's the same problem. So that is equivalent to 34,675.185 pesos, no? Okay, so that's it. You can try solving the problem using different focal points, and you should be arriving at the same answer. Okay, I think that would be the end. We still have one topic for this particular chapter. Next week na lang siguro.